What's going on, YouTube? This is GamerDoc1906 coming today with another video talking about the Nikon Z6. I have thoroughly enjoyed using this camera over the past few weeks. However, I've had some issues, and we're going to talk about it next. All right, one of the biggest issues I've had with this camera, and it's not that big of a deal, but probably one of the biggest issues I've had with this camera, and I'm sure a lot of people have, I've seen a few reviews about it, is the autofocus on this camera. Now, don't get me wrong, you have to use this camera in good light. Pretty much every camera you gotta use it in good light. But sometimes if you're indoors and you're using studio lighting, like the one I have here, it's reflective with an LED behind it, it works pretty good. But the thing about the Z6 and the problem that it's having is, especially when you're using it, and especially when you're using it for the in-log feature. Now, the in-log feature is a feature that obviously Nikon has, that you can record and log, which helps you, and it gives you the ability to color grade it later. But one of the problems is that with the autofocus, it doesn't pick up that well. I'm not sure if it's because of lack of contrast in log format or just a problem with the camera, but it really struggles sometimes. Now, obviously, if you have a really good light source, it tends to do pretty good, but if you don't, you pretty much have to rely on manual focus. Now, log, for you guys who don't know what it is, it's a recording format that Nikon uses, and you can record into things like the Atomos Ninja 5, which I'm recording on right now, and it gives you better dynamic range. It gives you better color grading ability for post-processing, which is awesome. But the thing is, if you can't autofocus, especially if you can't autofocus for especially YouTube purposes, or just doing simple interviews or anything like that, then it can be a little bit of a hassle. So you have to sometimes rely on manual focus, or just wait until it decides to autofocus on its own. But I think one of the biggest, I think one of the things that Nikon will have to do, and they are doing it here supposedly, is update the firmware, which I hope they do pretty soon, which will give eye autofocus to the Z6, which will hopefully improve that autofocus feature, or autofocus that the Z6 has. So really, at this point, it's a little bit of a disappointment, but not a deal breaker. It works really good. The autofocus works great in good light, and honestly, for us Nikon users, it's not a big deal, but something that you do need to think about when you're purchasing a camera like this. So again, hopefully the update in the firmware that's coming up will address this issue, but well, I'm crossing my fingers, but really, it's really not a deal breaker. As long as you have a good light, you should be okay. But all right, so that's my video for today. So we are going to hope that Nikon improves this autofocus, or at least improve it somewhat in the firmware update, and hopefully it'll work. All right, this is GamerDoc1906, and I'm out.